Happy coding.
Hey there, and welcome to our next video in our series of web development. In this video, we're going to take a little bit of a detour and talk about Git and GitHub, and we're going to look at a specific feature called the GitHub profile README. So yeah, let's just dive in. So depending on how you got here, what you've seen before, what you've done before, you likely have been editing code already. So with what I'm doing right now, we've been doing a lot of Glitch. So like writing websites and stuff in Glitch. And that's great for, I think, kind of smaller projects or if you're trying to prototype something. But for, I don't know, like real projects, you'll likely want to start using other tools. And GitHub is one of them. So to talk about that, let me run through just a couple of like conceptual ideas first, and then we'll get into like the logistics of how to use it. So the first thing I want to talk about is the idea of version control. And this is something that you've probably already seen in one format or another. So if you've ever been like writing, I don't know, a paper and you save it and you're like, paper version 1. And then you make some edits and then you save it again and you maybe say like paper version 2. And then eventually you have like paper final. Or maybe it's like paper final 2 or paper final, really final. I really mean it this time. And you're saving different versions of that file. And that is a form of version control. Or if you're using something like Google Docs, they usually, like those kinds of online editors, they usually have it kind of built in where you can go back and like look at old versions. And all of that is version control. So when we say version control, that's really what we mean, like tracking different versions of files over time. And this is really handy if you're either working with a really complex project or if you are working with other people, so you can like edit files and send the changes back and forth. So one of the tools in version control is a tool called Git. And Git is this like kind of older tool that's like really popular in sort of software engineering and open source development. And Git is a tool that lets you do version control for your project and sort of track changes over time and work with other people. We won't get really into the specifics of like exactly how to use Git, but just know that Git is a thing that people use to do version control, especially for like software development. So then GitHub is a website that is built on top of Git, or it's built using Git. And really in a way, I think of GitHub as being like social media for programmers. And so here I am, I'm logged into GitHub. I'm on github.com here. And the homepage is sort of a feed of like the people that I'm like friends with on GitHub or that I follow on GitHub, and I can sort of see like what they're up to. So I see that this guy is playing with data. Here's my friend Dustin. He's doing something with Rust, programming language, and I can sort of scroll down and like look at what other folks are doing. And it's in a way like social media for programmers. And you can also follow like open source projects and all that good stuff. So that is GitHub. And the way GitHub is structured is it revolves around, well, like users, first of all, but users can have repositories or repos. And a repo is just a directory basically of all of your projects or all of your project files. So I don't know, for example, you are on happycoding.io probably if you're watching this video, or you're maybe on YouTube, but come to happycoding.io. That's my website. That's like, here, that's this website that I have where I post all my stuff, and I store all of it on GitHub. So here is my GitHub repo for happycoding.io. And you can see that like, here's maybe where I keep the tutorials. Here's where I keep some of my JavaScript files. Here's the images. And you can click through if you really want to. But really the whole point is that this is a repository on GitHub that lets you store your project files and like change them over time. So I'm just kind of looking here, like I can see the posts that I created, and last night I created one, but I don't see it, probably because I named it something goofy. Anyway, so this is a repo. This is a GitHub repo. And so if you're getting into code, chances are you will work with GitHub in one way or another, whether you are like looking at other people's projects or downloading code from other people, or starting a collection of your own code. So that is GitHub. And GitHub has a feature called GitHub Profile READMEs, which I really love because it is a way to like introduce yourself to GitHub, to the flow of GitHub in a, I don't know, kind of a fun way. So I really like it. And that's what we're going to talk about in the rest of this video. So we talked about the idea of a repository, which is a directory for your code in GitHub. And then behind the scenes, it'll use Git to like track the changes, but really it's just a directory. So if I was going to create a new project, I could create a new repository and then put my files in there and then track them over time. But there's a sort of a secret to GitHub where if you create a repository that has the same name as your username, then it shows up in your profile. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So if I go to my profile, where can I go there? Here maybe. Your profile. Yeah. So here's my profile as it currently stands. If you like edit your profile, yours will look a little different because, you know, I have other repositories and stuff, but you can set like, you know, a little blurb here. You can also have like a profile picture and stuff, but really that's kind of it. That's the only customization that you can really do on your profile page. But if what you want to do is customize it, then you can create a GitHub profile README. So I guess I should say like pause here and like go sign up for a GitHub account if you haven't done that already. So let me do this in a private window. So I'm not logged in, github.com. If you're new to GitHub, this is likely what it looks like. This is kind of the homepage, but really go up here to sign up and then, you know, go through that flow. And when you have a GitHub account, then you'll go to a page that looks something like this for your profile. So go do all of that. I probably should have said that at the beginning. But either way, now that you have a GitHub account and a profile, you're hopefully you see something kind of like this. Maybe it looks a little different, but you have a profile page. So I'm going to go, where am I going to go? I'm going to go back to GitHub's homepage. And I'm going to create a new repository. There's a few ways to do that, but I don't know, this big green button is jumping out at me. So I'm going to click that, new. And then I'm going to create a repository. I'm going to give it a name, owner, I guess I'll just pick me. I don't know if that's a thing that you'll see because I have a couple different accounts, but anyway, I'm going to give it a name, and here's the trick. I'm going to give my repository a name, and the name is going to be my username. So my username is just Kevin Workman. That's my name. But yours is, you know, whatever you created when you signed up. It'll be, you know, here. So I want to type that same thing, Kevin Workman. And you see this little pop-up, Kevin Workman / Kevin Workman is a special repository that you can use to add a readme.md to your GitHub profile, make sure it's public, blah, 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 blah. So this is like a hint that we're doing something sort of, you know, secret and magical, and that is this idea of GitHub profile readmes. So I'm going to keep that name, and I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to check this box, add a README file, and that will like add a default readme.md file, so I don't have to create it myself, but I'm going to click that. And the rest I'm just going to keep as the defaults. So sure, I want to hit create repository, and this is now creating a repo, and here we go. My repository has the same name as my username, so it's a little goofy looking up here, but it contains a single readme.md file with this content. So if I go into it, we can see the source. If I go to code, and the content is just this for now, and then there's like some commented out content that we'll talk about in a second. Okay, so like, what was the point of that? Why did we just create a repo with our username? And that is because if I go back to my profile page, Where is that? I'll just go up here to my profile. Now you see that the contents of that README file show up in my profile. They show up here. And so the idea is that now I can customize the content of that file, and that content will show up like directly in my profile page. So there's a few ways to do that, but I think one of the easiest ways is just to click this pencil icon right here. You can also go back into your repository and then edit it from there. But it's right here, so why not click it? So I'm going to click that pencil icon. And this opens up a web editor. So if you've been working with Glitch or some other web editor, it's pretty similar, where I can type whatever I want in here. And so maybe I'll just say, like, just to get something working, like, hi, like maybe I'll say, hello world, my name is Kevin. Okay, and I'm going to leave this commented out stuff here for a second, but I'm just going to save this. So I have right now, the only thing I've really added is this single line, and I'm mostly doing this just to get something working, just to see the flow of things. So back in my editor here, I'm going to go up here to the upper right corner, and I'm going to go to commit changes, and this is going to commit my change to the repository. So it's going to say, hey, take this change and put it in the repository or in the repo. So I'm going to hit commit, and you can give it like more information here if you want to, but you can also just kind of keep it the same. So I'm going to hit commit changes here. And all right, now this is the file itself. Hi there, hello world, my name is Kevin. So that's the bit I added. And so now if I go back to my profile, indeed we see hello world, my name is Kevin in my GitHub profile. So that's the flow of editing that file and then seeing that change in your profile. So let me do that again and like kind of explore some of the options in there. So this is a .md file, which means markdown. So by default, this is using a markup language called Markdown, and you can read more about it if you go to, like, I don't know, Markdown. And sure, Markdown guide maybe, and get started. Sure, yeah, here's all kinds of information about it, but really it's something that you might have seen before if you are on the internet. It's things like if you write like 2 asterisks, it bolds. If you write things like a dash, it turns it into a list. So by default, it's Markdown, and they do supply some like placeholder sort of suggestions, but it's commented out, so it's kind of invisible once it's rendered. So I'm going to take out these lines, this like dash dash sort of HTML comment, and I'm going to take out this line as well. And I can sort of go back and forth between edit and preview here. So I can go to edit, I can go to preview, and here's what it will look like now that I've taken out that comment, and it's like a bunch of like placeholder text. So I'm currently working on blah, I'm currently learning blah. And you can fill that out if you want to. I think what I'll do is I'll sort of start with my own stuff. So I'm going to delete this and going to say, like, I don't know, hello world. And then maybe I'll say, here are some things I'm working on. And what am I working on? I don't even know. I work at Google. I work for, oh boy, happycoding.io and Millersville University. I spelled university wrong, which is hilarious because, I should be able to spell that word. But what I'm doing here is I'm writing in Markdown. So I have this like dash dash, which renders as a header. I have, not dash dash, pound, I guess that would be called. And I have this dash here, which is going to render it as a list. I could also, let's see, I want to maybe have one more thing. So I'll say like, and then I'll write 2 asterisks, love nerding out. So don't hesitate to contact me. And my little head's in the way, but what I'm trying to show is like this is more markdown. So this renders as bold text once you render it. So you see that the love is sort of bolder. Okay, so that is writing markdown, and I can change that, or I can save that to my repo. I'm going to commit those changes, and then I'm going to go back to my profile. And there it is. There is my content rendered in my profile so that I can sort of, showcase what I'm working on or really anything I want in this file. So that is writing Markdown. And let's see. So next, what do I want to do? I want to talk about sort of the next phase of this. So HTML. So this is Markdown, which lets you write in like this kind of format. And that's pretty good for a lot of like, simple text or for things that you don't really need like any more detail than that. But the, cool thing about Markdown is you can also write in HTML in Markdown. So for example, let me see if I can come up with a good one. What I might do is, I don't know, maybe I'll just convert this into my own HTML. So I'll say like H2. Oh my goodness, what just happened? I'll convert this into an H2 and H2. And maybe I'll have like, I don't know, this is a P tag. It doesn't really matter. This doesn't really change anything. But I'm just going to show you sort of the alternative to what we have so far. Maybe I'll make this a UL with some LIs. LI and Google and so on and so forth. LI, happycoding.io, and another LI, Millersville University. Okay. And finally, I'll say one more P tag, and then this is going to be like a bold tag or maybe a strong tag. And then I'll finally close my P tag. Okay, so this shouldn't actually change anything. If I go to preview, it'll look pretty similar, I think. But where this gets magical is you can now sort of customize it a little bit more. So I actually don't even remember the syntax for this, but you can't use things like CSS or JavaScript in your HTML, but you can use like old school HTML, which was how things were styled like way back in the day before CSS. So there is a way to like center text. So I'm going to say like HTML, I think it's like align attribute, something like that. Yeah, something like that. Which one of these? Let's try this. No, let's try this one. I don't have high hope. Maybe. Okay, yeah, so align equals, and then it's on things like tables and iframes and HRs. Okay, so let's just try it. So if I have this H2, can I say align equals center? I actually don't know. And I can. Ooh, that worked. So now this is centered, and it's not, how I would do it in like a real web page, but that's kind of the fun of it. It kind of invites you to hack at it a little bit. So maybe I'll say align equals center on my P tags, and sure, and preview, and yeah, that worked on my P tags, and I don't know if it'll work on a UL tag. Let's see. No, okay, it doesn't work on a UL, I don't think, or maybe it needs to be on the LI. I kind of doubt it, but let's find out. No. Okay. And that's okay. Maybe I'll just keep it on my H2, but it kind of is up to you, right? Like you can kind of play with it. So maybe I like it on my header, but maybe not on my P tags after all. And maybe one more thing I'll do is I'll add like a little horizontal rule. Maybe. I don't know. I could play with this, and that's kind of why I like it. But I think maybe I'll just kind of leave it where it is. But the idea is that you can start to get a little bit more into it by writing HTML. Even though this is a Markdown file, Markdown supports HTML. So I'm going to save this, and yeah, commit changes and commit changes. Sure. And okay, the only real thing I changed was the sort of centering of my heading, but you know, I could keep going. I could change more stuff. But here it is. Here it is reflected in my profile. So I'll do one more thing and then I'll just sort of talk through like other things that you might do. So I'm gonna go back into it. And the reason I like this so much is like, here we are doing the GitHub flow. Like we're going, editing a file, pushing into a repo, seeing the changes in the repo over and over again. So here I am back in my repo. And actually what I want to do, never mind. I want to go out of that because here I am in the repo itself. So let me maybe start over. I'm starting out on my profile here. And I want to go back into my repo that I created for my profile README. Right now it just contains a single file, but I think if I click here, yeah, I click on my name and here. So here's the repo page for it. And right now it just contains that single MD file. But let's say I wanted to, I don't know, add an image to my page here. Well, I can do that. So I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna say add file and upload files and sure, drag them or choose, sure. And here I've added a couple images from like previous projects that I worked on. So I am going to upload those and I can customize my message. This doesn't really matter for what we're doing, but sure, like upload images. And then I'll commit my changes. And now in my repo, I have not just my readme.md file, but I have those images that I uploaded. So let's see. So let's say I wanted to add, I don't know, let's try to remember these file names. So I'm going to open this up in a new tab so I just have it. So I'm going to go into my readme.md file and I'm going to edit it again using this pencil icon up here. So pencil, edit this file, sure. And what I want to do is add an image. And how can I do that? Well, you can do it in Markdown. There is a syntax for adding images in Markdown, but let's do it in HTML. So I'm going to have an image tag, image, and then I'm going to give it a source. And the source is one of those files. And so I'm going to try, I don't know, it's right after Halloween when I'm recording this video. So let's do this one maybe. And I'm going to paste in that, file name. And I'm going to close it out and let's see the preview if that worked. Yeah, it did. Look at that. You know, I'm not saying it's the most artistic pumpkin I've ever seen in my entire life, but it's something, right? So let's commit that and sure, commit. And all right, that's the file sort of by itself, but let's go back to my profile. And here it is. So you see that there's a lot of power in like adding content to that that profile README file because it shows up in my GitHub profile. And as you get more into coding, or if you create something like a portfolio page that you then put on your resume, having like a custom profile page can be like, I don't know, a little bit extra, like, I don't know, a way to show off some of your like creativity and stuff. But here it is. And I could change the image, you know, I could change the text and all that stuff using that exact same flow that we just went through. So from here, there are a ton of things you can do just with GitHub profile READMEs. The main reason I like them is because they are a good way to sort of practice the GitHub flow of editing a file, saving it, seeing it in your repo. But you can really explore this if you are interested. So I'm just going to type in, I don't know, like GitHub profile README. And let's see. So yeah, 10 standout GitHub profile READMEs on this random web page. Sure. So let's see. Here's, let's see. I'm just going to click randomly. I don't know. I haven't looked at any of this stuff before. Like here's Monica's profile README, and you can see that it looks like pretty professional, right? It's got this like nice banner image. It's got like an explanation of what they work on, some links to other profile pages, and like kind of this cool like little GIF. So it's nice. It's custom, and you can kind of get a sense like, oh, this person like has gone through the effort to like customize their profile. Um, so this is another link that I like, this awesome GitHub profile README. This itself is a GitHub repo, but what it contains is links to a bunch of other GitHub profile READMEs. So sure, let's see. So simple but innovative ones. Why not? And I'm going to click one kind of randomly. I don't know. Vinit. Sure. Let's see. And let's go to their profile. And yeah, cool. They've got like these badges and stuff. And I don't actually know how they do that. But you could look. You could go look at their README file and sort of spy on it and see like what's the code that they write to get that to work. So here, readme.md, and I'll look at the code, and yeah, it looks like they're using a combination of like HTML and Markdown. So they're using kind of both, and they are likely using like images and stuff to get those badges working, but you could kind of look at their code and go from there. So I won't go too far down that rabbit hole because I could spend a lot of time just kind of clicking through and seeing what other folks do. But the idea is that you can pull those ideas into your profile README and sort of customize it however you want to. So yeah, I think that is as far as I'll go on profile READMEs. I definitely recommend working through it. If you're new to GitHub, I think it's one of the best ways to learn how to use GitHub. Even if you don't plan on being like fully involved in the GitHub community, I still think it's a great way to practice. But from here, we are going to next learn about how to make web pages using GitHub. But I'll save that for the next video. So until then, happy coding.